We are part of the trust project. Britain could be forced to follow new EU rules made after Brexit Day in 2019 under leaked plans. The position, reportedly drawn up by Brussels chief negotiator Michel Barnier, would mean Britain continuing to follow EU rules during a transition period. Theresa May has said she wants such a period lasting around 2 years after 2019, but it could last longer. The new pressure on the Prime Minister comes as a senior Irish figure accused her of blind faith, urging her implement drastic plans to protect the free Northern Ireland border after Brexit. A shock report in the Sunday Times today also claimed the final sum Britain pays in a Brexit divorce bill may not be revealed. Following new EU rules would go against the approach to an implementation period set out by the Prime Minister in her Florence speech. Back then she said the framework for this strictly time-limited period would be the existing structure of EU rules and regulations. But The Independent obtained a presentation drawn up by Mr. Barnier for representatives of the 27 remaining EU members. It said a transitional deal would involve the automatic application in the UK of new EU rules post-March 30, 2019. It also makes clear that after leaving the bloc the UK would have no institutional rights, no presence in the institutions and no voting rights, indicating that the UK would have no say over rules it would have to implement in the period. Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson has already indicated that accepting further regulations from Brussels would cross a red line. He told The Sun in September, "You heard the Prime Minister say very clearly in Florence that she envisages the transition period being run under existing arrangements." That was the phrase she used, the existing rules. The Prime Minister wants talks on a trade deal and an implementation period to be given the green light by EU counterparts at the European Council on December 14 to 15. But she has been warned by European Council President Donald Tusk that while that was possible it would be a huge challenge. He has given her until December 4 to make progress on issues including the Brexit divorce bill and the thorny problem of the Irish border. In another blow this weekend, Britain's former EU ambassador Sir Ivan Rogers warned Mrs May's Brexit strategy is an accident waiting to happen. And it is going to happen. The idea is likely to enrage Leavers, who are already facing the prospect of little or no change to immigration during the transition. One Brexit group's plans for a drastic reduction in the number of immigrants to the UK have been submitted to ministers this weekend, and one backing from former Tory leader Ian Duncan Smith. The proposals by Leave means Leave would aim to cut net migration to the levels seen in the mid-1990s, when between 55,000 and 77,000 more people came to the UK than left. Meanwhile, the UK and EU's plans to share out quotas for cheap food imports from countries around the world after Brexit have come under fire from Australia. The government has agreed with Brussels to divide up the number of goods that can be brought in on low or zero tariffs, preserving some of Britain's biggest industries. But Australian Trade Minister Stephen Shiabo said the move would impose unacceptable restrictions on nations exporting to the bloc. "The point is that you have a choice about where you place your quota at the moment," he told the BBC. "Therefore, given that you could put it in the UK or you could put it into continental Europe, why would we accept a proposition that would see a decline in the quota available because of the Brexit decision?" Other countries with concerns about the quota splitting plan include the United States, New Zealand, Brazil, and Canada.